DanishTube. Hej DanishTuber, og velkommen tilbage til episode nummer 5. Det er ikke en episode faktisk, det er en lektion. Velkommen tilbage til lektion nummer 5, og i dag skal det handle om at være på restaurant. Today it's about going to the restaurant. Og sidste gang snakkede vi om at tage på café. Last time we talked about going to the cafe. Så det bliver lidt den samme øvelse, hvor jeg har nogle ting på engelsk. I have some stuff in English. It's going to be a bit kind of the same exercise. And I want you to try and force your brain, throw out some stuff and tell me how would you say this in Danish. And if not, don't worry about it. Let's learn some stuff together. So, here you can see, på restaurant. The first thing, I want you to imagine that you're walking through the city and you're just going to drop by a restaurant and you're like, hey, I'm wondering if you have something. You know, it could be gluten-free food, vegan food, a table for two. I am wondering if you have. Hey, I'm wondering if you have this. Hvordan siger man det på dansk? How do you say that in Danish? En virkelig god måde at sige det på, det er, kan vide om I har. Kan vide om I har. Jeg skal lige gøre det sort her, sådan. Hej, kan vide om I har glutenfri mad. Kan vide om I har vegansk mad. Kan vide om I har et bord til 2, bord til 3, bord til 4 og så videre. Sådan der. Nice. You could also say something like, hey, may I ask you something? Like, you know, I just want to ask you a question. Hvordan vil man sige det? You will kind of see it here in the document, so I'm trying to cover it now. Hey, may I ask you something? Hej, må jeg ikke lige spørge om noget? Har jeg skrevet her. Could I just ask you something? It could also just be, hey, må jeg spørge om noget? Can I ask you about something? Eller, can I ask you a question? Må jeg stille dig et spørgsmål? Of that maybe sounds a bit formal. It's more like if you're trying to grab someone's attention, you might ask them, undskyld, må jeg stille dig et spørgsmål? Okay, so here we have kind of a half dialogue, half sort of just some phrases that you might use. So, for example, again, hello, do you have a table for two? Hi, har I et bord til to? Right, we already had it, so har I et bord til to? I've also written, may we get a table for two? How might you say, may we get? Nogle idéer? Any ideas? And remember, take inspiration from the last class, because basically we're repeating a lot of the same stuff here. Here I've written, må vi få et bord til to? Må vi få et bord til to? Can we get a table for two? Super chill. Hi, I would like to reserve a table for two. Okay, so I don't know if people still really reserve tables. I didn't do it in a long time, but some people do. And the word is reservere. Hi, jeg vil gerne reservere et bord til to. Så måske ringer du til dem. Now you're calling on the phone and asking to reserve a table. To which they may reply, you better believe it, which sounds a bit odd in English, right? You better believe it. It's kind of normal. It's the best translation I could come up with in English. Any ideas? Det hedder, det kan du tro. Det kan du tro. Super normal thing to say, just to like confirm. Yeah, for sure. It's another way of saying. But later I've written for sure here. Let's do the next one. What time would you like to come? What time would you like to come? Hvad tid vil du gerne komme forbi? Actually, I've written here I instead of du, which is the plural, of course, for you. Hvad tid vil I gerne komme forbi? Komme forbi means like literally to come by. If I call my friend, I'm like, hey, jeg kommer forbi lige om lidt, means like I'm coming by. I'm going to stop by your place. But it also means to get past, like you're in the supermarket, someone's in your way, instead of just going, hey, flyt dig. You might say, undskyld, må jeg komme forbi? Excuse me, may I get past, sir? Okay. So you continue the conversation. How about 8 p.m.? How about 8 p.m.? Of course, we could translate as what with 8 p.m. Vel med klokken 8. Or I've actually written here klokken 20, as you probably know. Danes usually speak in 24 hours because there's not exactly an equivalent for PM without saying om aften, in the evening. You could also ask, kunne det være? Could it være klokken 20? Could it be 8 p.m.? You could also use the word passe, which is like when something suits or it fits. Kunne det passe klokken 8? Or hvad med klokken 8? And again, they may hopefully tell you for sure. How might they say for sure? Det hedder helt sikkert. Helt sikkert. Which is literally, totally sure. Absolutely certain, you could say. May I get a name? If we translate directly, of course, take is tage, må jeg tage et navn, but they probably won't use tage. They'll probably say, må jeg få, can I get a name? Må jeg få dit navn? Må jeg få et navn? Something like this. And again, as we mentioned in the last lesson, a lot of this thing is, not memorizing them word for word, because who wants to do that, and it's boring, right? But it's just getting familiar with the kind of stuff that people are saying in this scenario, and then being able to pick out the keywords when someone else is talking to you. Of course, when you're talking to them, you maybe do want to memorize phrases to some degree, but really it's more about having a gist, having this general idea of the words and phrases that are used. Må jeg få et navn? Of course, my name is, or of course, it's Liam, for example. I think you got it right. Selvfølgelig. Dear Liam. Selvfølgelig. Jeg hedder Liam. You could also just say directly without saying selvfølgelig, of course. You can just say jeg hedder. Jeg hedder Liam. Sådan. And we haven't really gone into, greetings, introduction stuff yet on this course, and we're probably not gonna, to be honest, because things like jeg hedder Liam, jeg kommer fra Frankrig, all that kind of stuff, it's readily available. It's sort of not really my focus, I know it's sort of the 101 that you always get at the start of a course, but well, if you are interested or you're not sure how to say something, just write to me and ask. And otherwise, these kinds of things, I prefer to take them when they come naturally. Like now, it's coming naturally to say, okay, jeg hedder Liam, or mit navn er Liam. That's how you say my name is. Cool, that's reserved for 8 p.m. That's reserved for 8 p.m. Any ideas? We had earlier reservere, to reserve. When something is reserved, så er det reserveret. Reserveret. Det er reserveret. Vi ses klokken 20. See you at 8 p.m. I've actually written here. I could also have written det er reserveret til klokken 20. That's reserved for 8 o'clock. Thanks a lot. See you. Of course, you can say mange tak, or mange tak, vi ses. Mange tak, vi ses. A little side note here, vi ses means see you later, but you don't usually use it unless you're actually going to see the people later. So in the supermarket, I probably wouldn't say vi ses to the assistant working there, unless I go in all the time and I do see him later. In this context, I'm going to go there later, so I will. Okay. So now I arrive at the restaurant and I say, hi, my name is Liam, I have a reservation for 8 p.m. Or I have reserved a table for 8 p.m. How might you say that? Lad os se, hvad jeg har skrevet. Jeg har skrevet: Hej, jeg hedder Liam. Jeg har en reservering klokken 20. Eller, jeg har reserveret et bord til klokken 20. Sådan. Jeg har en reservering til klokken 20. I should really also write till here. When you think often in English, when you say in this context of a table for 2, a table for 8 o'clock, we're using till in Danish. Yeah, that's an entire thing on its own. Should it be 4? Should it be till? Who knows? Don't worry about it. You'll get it as it comes up. Jeg har en reservering til klokken 20. Jeg har reserveret et bord til klokken 20. Sådan. So usually then they show you to the table. Sometimes, in my experience, depending on the place, they might ask you, you want to sit inside, you want to sit outside. Of course, if it's a summer day or if it's sort of, well, you know, people sit outside even when it's cold, so whatever. Would you like to sit inside or outside? Or would you like a table inside or outside? Keywords are inside, outside. How would you say that? Det er selvfølgelig indenfor eller udenfor. Sådan. So the full phrase here is: Vil I gerne sidde indenfor eller udenfor? And I've written again. I is in plural, assuming there are 2 people. Kunne I tænke jer, so mistakes here. Kunne I tænke jer et bord indenfor eller udenfor? Sådan. So they both mean the same. Basically, kunne I tænke jer. We had, I believe, last time we were at the cafe, right? Just another way of saying, would you like something? And I think we're going to get it again in a second. So, now I'm assuming you have guests. Maybe people are visiting you when they don't speak Danish, because you're not going to ask for but if you need to ask for one, do you have a menu in English? Hvordan siger man det? How do you say that? Keyword menu. Det er faktisk menu, but you usually call it like a menu card. Et menukort. Har du et menukort på engelsk? Although I would say I again here, because usually when you refer to an establishment, you know, there's a guy in front of you, but we're talking about the restaurant. So, har I et menukort på engelsk? Har I et menukort på engelsk? Sådan. Then they're going to say, no, get lost. Now they're probably going to have one. Okay, so would you like something to drink? What might the waiter, tjeneren, en tjener is a waiter, or what might they say? Yeah, if we go back here, we already had it. Vil I gerne, or kunne I tænke jer? 2 very common ways they might ask. Kunne I tænke jer noget at drikke? I think that would be super normal to hear that. Kunne I tænke jer noget at drikke? Yes, really. I like that a lot. Again, sometimes translating into English sounds a bit weird, but there's sort of a common response to, you know, yes please, in a way. And simply you use gerne, meget gerne. It's a way of saying, yes, I'd really like that. Yeah, meget gerne. Which I think we also had in the cafe. If you're at a friend's house, for example, they offer you a coffee. Hey, kunne du tænke dig en kop kaffe? Ja tak, meget gerne. Yes please, I'd like a sparkling water. Or just I'd like sparkling water, better. You can probably see a little bit here. Med bruges. But what about yes please? Got it right? You actually say thanks, right? Ja tak, which I also haven't written here, so I'm going to do it now. Ja tak. Må jeg bede om vand med brus? Ja tak, må jeg bede om vand med brus? Må jeg bede om being one of the, I don't know, most polite ways to ask. You can again say, jeg vil gerne have, or just simply, vand med brus. Ja tak, vand med brus til mig, for example. Or let's take the next one, still water. So vand med brus. is a way of saying sparkling water. You can, funnily enough, also call it Danish water. Dansk vand. Whatever in here. Vand med brus, eller uden brus, with or without water. With or without bubbles. Sparkling water or still water. Or dansk vand. Often you'll see in the supermarket, in 7-Eleven, when you're buying a bottle of water, it will say med brus eller uden brus, with or without bubbles, sparkling water, gas, whatever you want to call it. But there are some ways to ask for mineral water, tap water. Any ideas? Mineralvand, kildevand, also another way to say it. In kilde is a source, because literally source water. And tap water is hanevand. Hane is the tap. And postevand is also kind of a funny word for it as well. Post water, being posted directly to you. There you go. That's cool. How about a pitcher of water? Det hedder en kandevand. En kandevand. Because maybe you order still water and your friend orders still water. So maybe they would ask you, hey, would you like a pitcher instead? Kunne I tænke jer en kandevand I stedet for? Kunne I tænke jer en kandevand I stedet for? One thing I want to highlight here, in kandevand, a pitcher of water, you never say of in all of these scenarios. So a cup of coffee we had last time is just en kop kaffe without the of. A kilo potatoes, et kilo kartofler without of again. Okay, so another way to say what you want is just to simply say, which I mentioned earlier, something for me, and maybe you signal to your friend, what about you? En pilsner til mig, eller en øl til mig, en øl being a beer. Og hvad vil du have? And what would you like? So I'll just write the word øl here. Important word in Denmark, you probably already know it, right, if you're there. Øl. Øl. Always reminds me of the word ale. So it sounds really Druid and Viking, which we like. Okay, so they've probably come back with your drinks, giving you a bit of time, they come back. Are you ready to order? Are you ready to order? Keyword here is klar. Er I klar til at bestille? Oops, I don't want it like that. Sådan der. And actually klar should be with an E because we're talking about plural here. Er I klar? Og er du klar til at bestille? Sådan. May we get 2 minutes more? Okay. May we get? We've already had it. Right? My butt's starting to hurt on this hot chair. Too much info, I know. It's not what you wanted to hear during Danish class. But whatever. Now I've shared it. It's out there. Må vi få 2 minutter mere? Can we get 2 minutes more? Må vi få 2 minutter mere? Or if you're ready, simply yes please, or yes thanks, of course, again, ja tak. Er I klar til at bestille? Ja tak. For a starter, I'd like. For the main course, I'd like. Any ideas? What is the word for starter and main course? Well, you have the word in ret, which is a dish or a course, and forret, starter, and hovedret, literally head dish, main course. Så til forret vil jeg gerne bede om this thing. Og til hovedret vil jeg tage without R, vil jeg tage jeres, whatever it might be. Have I written something here? No. Notice there's a bit of inversion going on here. If you start by saying til forret, then you have the verb coming next. Til forret vil jeg. For starter, would I like? Or to starter, for a starter, vil jeg gerne. Oh, some mistakes here. Remember to point out my mistakes if you spot them. Til forret vil jeg gerne bede om. Sådan. You could also reword it, right? And just start without confusing yourself. Just say, jeg vil gerne bede om Then the cause, til forret. Og jeg vil gerne bede om, og så vil jeg gerne bede om. There's so many ways to say the same thing. So the important thing here is the keywords and being understood, of course. It's not about being perfect. I've just written some ways you can say it. It's by no means the only way you can say these things. I've also written here, må jeg bede om, og jeg vil gerne bede om. Sådan. It's just a bit of repetition here. Jeg vil gerne bede om, yes, forårsruller. Forårsruller is spring rolls til forret. I'd like to get, or can I get? We already had the verb to get, right? Jeg vil gerne få. Jeg vil gerne få. Eller må jeg få. I've written can I get in English, but in Danish you would really say may I get. And remember that will is not will. In some cases it is, but usually it's always something you want. So anytime you want to say I would like, I want, you say jeg vil. And then I've written here without. Okay, so maybe you order something without cheese or whatever. Og det hedder bare uden. 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 Sådan. Okay, a few left. Stay with me. What can you recommend? Do you recommend anything? Is there anything you recommend? What is your speciality? Pause the video if you need a little thinking time. How might you say any one of these things? Let's take a look. Hvad kan du anbefale på menukortet? Hvad kan du, skal jeg skrive, hvad kan du anbefale på menukortet? I've added here on the menu. What can you recommend on the menu? Kan du anbefale noget? Can you recommend anything? Almost like asking, do you recommend anything? Or another way, der noget, du kan anbefale? Der noget, du kan anbefale? What is your speciality? Hvad jeres specialitet? Hvad jeres specialitet? Again here the word jeres is in plural, referring to the establishment rather than the person directly in front of you. Cool, so we're on to allergies. Is there milk in your vegetable lasagna? Does your veggie lasagna contain milk? Any ideas how to ask this? Here we go. Der mælk i jeres vegetarlasagne? Whatever it is in front of you. Der mælk i? Very similar to English, right? Der mælk i? And does your lasagna contain milk? Here I'm looking for the word contain, which is quite a cool word in Danish. It's called indeholde. Indeholde. So I could ask a question using indeholde at the start. Indeholder jeres vegetarlasagne mælk? Eller bare indeholder jeres lasagne mælk? Sådan. Next to, I'm allergic to, or I have a milk allergy. Hvad siger vi? Okay, so simply the expression is jeg allergisk overfor, and then the thing. Anytime you're allergic to, this is how you'd say it. Overfor den ting. Allergisk, and then allergy is almost the same. Allergi. Jeg har en mælkeallergi, for eksempel. Jeg har en glutenallergi. Sådan. Cool. Vi fortsætter. Nogle få tilbage. Okay, so now we imagine we've received our food, we have sort of half eaten it. Sometimes the waitress comes by and is like, hey, how's the food? Does it taste good? Everything okay with the food? Do you need anything? How does it taste? How does everything taste? Or how did it taste? I should write here, how did it taste? That's usually when they're collecting your dishes at the end, right? But take a few minutes, pause the video and see if you can write in any of these. Think about how you might say some of these. Cool, here we go. I've written here, hvordan er maden? Hvordan er maden? Sounds like a very passing thing. I'm walking by, maybe I'm going to serve someone else. Hey, hvordan er maden? Smager det godt? Did it taste good? Smager det godt? And that's of course a universal thing. You can say to your friends, to your family when you're eating, you've made food for your girlfriend, your boyfriend, smager det godt? Something common in the restaurant, everything okay with the food? Det hedder alt vel med maden. Alt vel med maden. Of course they might use the word okay, alt okay, but alt vel. More Danish way to ask, and also when you write to your friends and you say, hey, like, everything okay? Alt vel? It's also a way of asking them. Do you need anything? Okay, there's like 110 ways to say need, but in this context, it's more like asking, are you missing anything? Which is mangler. Mangler I noget? Mangler I noget? Sauce? Servietter? Hvad det nu kunne være. How does it taste? Some of the same words here, smager. So here it was smager det godt. Hvordan smager det? How does it taste? Again, could be just asking your friend who you're eating with, how does everything taste? Hvordan smager det hele? Hvordan smager det hele? And smager, present tense, smagte in past tense. Hvordan smagte det hele? Hvordan smagte det hele? Hopefully you're going to reply saying, yeah, tastes great, tasted great, fantastic, fantastic, heavenly, whatever adjective you want to use. Det smager. Det smagte godt. Det smagte godt. Det smagte dejligt. Det smagte fantastisk. Det smager fantastisk. And one of my favorite words you may or may not know already is himmelsk. Det smager himmelsk. It's really good if it tastes himmelsk. And you can simply say, it was really good. It was really good. How would you say that? You got it. Det var meget godt. Det var meget godt. Sådan. Would you like anything for dessert? Would you in plural? We've had a few of these, so what do you think it would be? Actually, dessert, it's the same word, you just pronounce it dessert. Vil du have noget til dessert? Could be asking the person you're with, vil du have noget til dessert? And the person in the restaurant may be asking two of you, vil I have noget til dessert? And again, kunne I tænke jer noget til dessert? So a lot of the same words are being repeated, it's just changing around it. So again, keyword, dessert. Maybe you didn't catch that. Kunne I tænke jer noget til dessert? You hear dessert? Ja, faktisk. Det kunne jeg godt tænke mig. Jeg kunne tænke mig chokoladekage. Then we just repeat the same things, right? Ja tak, jeg vil gerne have, eller må jeg få, må jeg bede om, og ja tak, chokoladekage lyder godt. Chocolate cake sounds good. Okay, almost at the end, right? May I get the bill? May I get the bill? Regningen, sådan. Må jeg bede om regningen? Må jeg få regningen? Må vi få regningen? Could also be, can we get the check? And usually they're going to give you the price. This is what we had last time at the cafe where we said det bliver, whatever. Usually the restaurant, they don't tell you how much it is, right? They kind of just give you the bill and you look yourself and then you take out your card or your cash or whatever. But they may ask you, are you paying together or separately, which I cannot spell. Can you remember this from lektion number 4? Det var selvfølgelig sammen eller hver for sig. Betaler I sammen eller hver for sig? Vi betaler sammen. Vi betaler hver for sig. Sådan. The last thing, super common in Denmark to say these things, not so common in English, but thanks for today, thanks for this evening, thanks for a nice evening, or thanks for food. Hvordan siger man de ting? You probably heard it, right? If you're in Denmark, you've definitely heard it. Tak for i dag. Tak for en hyggelig aften. Tak for mad. Right? One of the most common things to say ever. Tak for mad. Tak for i dag. Sådan. Så er vi nået det hele. What you can do now is, give yourself some time. Let all this information just soak in your brain a little bit. There's no reason to stress about trying to remember and memorize it all. But after a bit of time, start to have this conversation with yourself. Try to go through this scenario in your mind. So when you're at home washing the dishes, walking around the house, in the garden, walking the dog, relive this scenario. You're going to the restaurant, ask, kan vide om I har bla bla, har I et bord til 2? Ja tak, må vi sidde udenfor? Og alt det her. Practice in advance, and then when you finally get there in real life, boom, you'll be good to go. Tusind tak for i dag, og vi ses i lektion nummer 6. Hej hej.